So we're going to do solving absolute value equations, because there's a whole unit on inequalities, so I like to get the equation stuff out of the way on everything, and then we'll do the inequalities later. So absolute value. I can't remember if we did any of this stuff in grade 10 or if I even talked to you about it. Do you remember, Amber? No? Well, the absolute value of anything is simply just the distance from 0. It doesn't matter, like -3. How far is -3 from 0? How many jumps, if you want to think of it? 3. So if I said the absolute value of -3, you'd just say 3. If I said the absolute value of 3, you would also say 3. So just put the distance from 0. And it's denoted with like brackets, but just lines, like square brackets. And I think of them like this: the absolute value of -3. That's what that says. So the absolute value of -3 we said was +3. And same as saying the absolute value of 4, +4 would be 4. So in essence, the absolute value of anything is always positive. Okay, because we never really worry about negative or positive in a sense. We're talking about the actual units from 0. Okay, so let's just do an equation one. If I think of this and I say, okay, then what if I said the absolute value of 2x is equal to 4? Okay, and we're solving for x, like we're solving absolute value equations. Well, remember, inside here, inside of this bracket, it can be a +4, but it can also be what inside? -4, because the absolute value of it would come out +4. So we actually set up both equations. So we get rid of those absolute values, and we go 2x can equal +4, and 2x can also equal -4. And then we just solve it. So in this case, if I divided the 2 out, x can equal +2. And if I divide the 2 out in this other one, x can also equal -2. Okay, I always got to check. Sometimes the batteries get weak. Okay, next one. We'll just do, because it's almost as hard as they get, really. What do we got here? Ooh, let's go x² minus 4 equals 5. Let's do that one. Well, again, the inside of these brackets, or the absolute value, can be both positive and -5, right? Because when we take the absolute value of it, it's got to equal 5. So set up both equations. x² minus 4 equals a +5. x² minus 4 equals a -5. So when we go and do this, we get x², and I don't care how you do it, you know that. You can add the 4 over or minus 5 and factor and solve and all that stuff. So let's maybe do that. Let's minus this 5 over and factor it. Do it the right way. Subtract 9 equals 0, so I can factor that. I get x minus 3, x plus 3, difference of squares. So x can equal 3, and or x can equal -3. So both those answers of x will satisfy that. Now what about this way? x², and I'm going to add the 5, plus 1 equals 0. Is there any? We can't factor that, no, because it's not a difference of squares, it's got a sum in there. So we just kind of ignore that. Well, there's no solution for it. I mean, we could go and try and do quadratic formula and go ahead and solve, but it's not going to work. right? B squared minus 4AC, it's negative, right? So there's no solutions for that. So there's that one. Let's see what else we can do. Let's do one more. One more quick one, and then I'll leave you alone. And there's some that, you know, are tricky, and I'll let you think about them when you're doing your assignments, but let's see. Let's go with another x squared minus 3x equals 4. Let's do this one again. Similar to the last one, only this time we're not going to have difference of squares. We're going to end up with trinomials because x squared minus 3x can equal 4. And x squared minus 3x can also equal negative 4 inside. So when I bring the 4 over on this first one, x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. Trinomial easy. So x minus 4, x plus 1. That works, right? But this one here, x squared minus 3x plus 4 equals 0. Yeah, the discriminant, it tells you right away, right? You're not going to have any solutions. 9 minus 16 doesn't work, right? So no solution on that one. And this one here, we can say x equals 4, x equals negative 1. So there's two solutions. Now, throw some caution out there. A couple things happen. Sometimes you'll get an absolute value of, say, x equals negative 3. There's a good example. Okay, just as a kind of a side note, notes to watch. This has no solution. Why? Yeah, you can't have an absolute value that comes out to be a negative. So, like, we can't say, oh, x can equal negative 3, and it's true. Well, no, there's no solution for this. So if you notice that, you know it's a no solution. What's another one that's kind of noteworthy? Oh, let's just look here. Absolute value of the absolute value of x can equal 2. Something like that. When you set it up, okay, absolute value of x can equal 2, and the absolute value of x can equal negative 2. So now now you got to do it again, right? So now you go set this one up, but this second one, no solution, so you just go with this one now. So x equals 2, x equals negative 2 from this one. So it's like doing 2 and 1. Okay, trying to think. Well, you'd get x equals 2 and x equals negative 2. Now that's a bad example. I should have done maybe with a trinomial or something in there, but you get the idea that you actually go through it twice. You drop the first set, you set both up, things like that. Now, I guess we should really, I'll just do this for the recording purposes. We should do some steps here. Not that that's super important. You guys got that though? Okay. So the steps, if I was to write any out, would be this. Treat it like those radical equations that we did, where we had to isolate the radicals, square both sides, that thing? The square roots, yeah. That's how I think of this stuff. So my step 1 is always isolate the absolute value, whatever it is. Get it by itself on one side of the equation. Now, it doesn't matter how many you've got, because sometimes I'll give you a 2-in-1 question, but you just kind of drop them at that point. You'll see what happens when you get there. So isolate the absolute value. 2. Set up both positive and negative equation. Okay? So that, the x minus equals 2, x equals negative 2, that kind of jump. And then 3, solve for x. Or your variable, whatever your variable is. Okay? I'm just trying to think of what kind of questions might be on there that are tricky. Question 6 is about the only one. 10. It's really quick and easy. So question 6 about the only tricky one. Okay? Nothing else? Good? Okay.